Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And our guest today, Robert Lane, has a really cool career. He's self-employed, and it's something I never really thought of. This is a job where if you have a nonfiction book, he will help you produce and record your audiobook. And I mean step by step. He coaches you through it. It's really fascinating. So if you have a nonfiction book out there and you don't have it audibly recorded, you really want to check this out and send this to your friends who also might need Robert's help. So Robert, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, great. No, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I never knew that there was an audiobook producer and publisher. I never knew that that was a job or a title or you're an entrepreneur. So give us kind of an overview. What do you actually do?
Yeah, I am technically an audiobook coach and producer. I do focus on helping nonfiction authors turn their great book into an audiobook that they, the author, narrate. And I have an audiobook coaching program, which is called Your Book, Your Voice. And it's a 6-week program. And I work with authors on a one-on-one basis. And I take them through the entire process of helping them set up their own recording space, teaching them the fine art of narration and voiceover and how to be compelling and energetic and, just do a great narration. And then once the audiobook is recorded, it needs to be edited and it needs to make sure that the audio files that they record meet the exact specifications for publication. So part of the program is I do all the editing for them and help them set up their publishing account to be published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. And then I do all the uploading for them. So guaranteed that there's no issues with getting published, because if there is, then I'll know about it and then I can do what I need to do to fix whatever needs to be fixed. And then the author gets all the mastered audio files. It's they own it 100%. And then by the end of the 6-week program, their audiobook is recorded and done and uploaded for publishing.
Oh my gosh, that's like one-stop shop, do it all.
That's the idea. The idea is to eliminate as much of the overwhelm and stress of all the work that does need to happen for an audiobook, and just focus on doing a great narration. Just do a great narration. That's the main thing. And so that's where the coaching aspect comes in.
Well, they say focus. Oh, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Bill Gates' mother figured out that he didn't really have a lot of people to hang out with, and so she contacted Bill Gates, and Bill Gates came for lunch. So they're having lunch, and Bill Gates' dad asked both men, "What one word?" And he gave them a piece of paper. "What one word would you attribute to your success?" And they both wrote focus. And so what you're giving people is the ability to focus on the most important piece, and you take care of everything along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea is, let me as the coach and producer do all the heavy lifting. Because, there is a lot of editing that is involved, but it's all behind the scenes. So what the authors do, because it is a process to record an audiobook. And if somebody isn't familiar with what it takes to record an audiobook, everything is done in sections. So you don't have to grab your book and then start reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. Because that's not the way to do an audiobook. That's very overwhelming. So every section of your book. So for example, when I wrote my book and I turned it into an audiobook, I have 14 chapters. So that's 14 separate audio files right there. Then you have opening credits, closing credits, introduction, foreword, prologue, epilogue. All those other pieces of the puzzle that create your book are all separate audio files. So what the author does is they just record each section, send it to me. I do the editing, uploading, and that's the basic overview process of how it works. So you're not having to be so overwhelmed of, oh man, I got to record all this in one sitting. No, you don't have to do that. It makes it so much easier.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes back to the old how do you eat an elephant?
Right.
It
Exactly.
does it simplifies it so that, maybe no, I can't read my whole book, but I could read just the introduction. I could get that much done. And then, I did that. I can go to the next level.
Right, exactly. And throughout the process is, as my job as a coach, of course, is to make sure that they're consistent in regards to their energy, to their emotion, and those aspects of doing an audiobook are super important. Now, of course, we go over the practical aspects, mic placement, body posture, staying hydrated, all those things are really important. But what makes a great audiobook are the intangibles, the things that you can't physically touch, but you can emotionally feel. That takes a book from being mediocre to fantastic. Because when you bring your energy and you bring that emotion, and when you're telling your story, you're in the right mindset, the right frame of mind, then you're going to have a great audiobook. So consistency is key because you want to make sure that your energy level and that your emotion and all that is the same from opening credits to closing credits, because you want to have that listener on the edge of their seat, listening to that audiobook and just loving it and just absorbing everything that you as the author are saying and telling in regards to the story. So the intangibles are really what makes a great audiobook.
Okay, so this is just such a unique little niche that you've got. How did this come about?
Oh well, I've worked 30 plus years in the entertainment business in various facets of the business. I started off in radio, and then I've done on camera, off camera. I made a short film. I did all that stuff. And then the last part of my career was working at 20th Century Fox on the studio lot in Los Angeles for about almost 14 years before I left the business. And then I decided that I wanted to do something that I wanted to be more um, purposeful and fulfilling. So I decided to go and the coaching route, do the coaching route. And I started off as a career coach, life coach, and I was taking on clients and helping them navigate through any type of work environment because it can be challenging. So then I did write a book, which is called Lights Action You, because people were asking me, oh, you worked all this time in the entertainment business. You must have tons of stories. And I'm like, well, I guess I kind of do. But I didn't want to just do a memoir. And then I also just didn't want to do a typical self-help book. So I kind of merged the two together. So in the book, I share stories and experiences of working in the entertainment business. But with each story is a lesson or a tool or a technique that I teach as a life coach and career coach, so that there's value. So there's something to be gained and to be learned, that when the reader reads it, they're like, oh, that's an interesting concept. Maybe I could apply that to my life. And so now, of course, being an audio guy, got to do the audiobook. So I did. And then I had authors approaching me saying, hey, I want to turn my book into an audiobook. How do you do that? So I decided to expand Robert Lane Coaching to include helping authors turning their book into an audiobook. So the way my business has morphed is I still do career and life coaching, but as a speaker. So I do keynotes and speaking engagements around the country and help people and hopefully inspire and transform them through speaking engagements. But in regards to the one-on-one coaching aspect of it, that's where I really focus on doing the audiobook coaching and producing for authors to turn their book into audiobooks.
Well, you're like I I have not written a book, but I can imagine that if I had, it would be like, oh, there's someone to take me through this. And I am a coach, and I am huge. I've got coaches. I am huge on coaching. It is so powerful. It literally takes something that would take you years to do, and you can do it in your case in 6 weeks. Um, that's phenomenal. So, just curiosity, what percent of the people who come to you via word of mouth?
Um, Quite a few, honestly. I get tons of referrals. I would say probably 80, maybe even 90% of the clients and authors that I work with are referrals, which is great. It makes me feel good because I feel like I'm doing something beneficial for these authors. But, honestly, the real reward is hearing that author narrate their own audiobook. Because there are times where, some authors don't have speaking experience, and some authors have a hesitation to narrate their own book. And I come across this a lot where people say, "Oh, I hate my voice. I don't like how I sound. I don't have what it takes." And I tell them that is a false belief. You got to crush those false beliefs. That is not true, because your voice is all part of your author brand. You wrote this great book. So you're a brand. You are an entrepreneur. Every author who's published a nonfiction book, you're an entrepreneur. So embrace your entrepreneurship. Love it. You're a professional now. So everything about you is your author brand. Your unique style, your voice is in your written word. So what you're doing is you're just bringing it to life. You're bringing it to life with your own voice. So what comes out of your mouth, this resonator, your head, is part of what creates your author brand. So love your voice, embrace your voice, because you know what, honestly, that's what makes you stand out in the crowd, because we're all unique individuals. And when you narrate your own audiobook and tell your story the way that you intend it to be heard, no one else can do that. Not another narrator, no matter how great they are. I mean, when I did my audiobook, I'm like, I want to be great to get like Morgan Freeman to narrate my audiobook. It'd be fantastic. But the thing is, no matter how great he is or any professional narrator, it's still their interpretation. They didn't live it. They didn't breathe it. I'm currently working with an author who is sharing her story about being pulled into a cult. No one can share that experience better than that person, that author who went through it. Not another narrator can do it. So that's why it's so important for especially nonfiction authors to narrate your own audiobook. No one can tell that story better than you.
1000%. I get I feel you. And there are people that you just shouldn't it would be hard to listen to them, maybe because they talk really, really slow. Do you do things to enhance that in your editing?
Well, that's part of the coaching, of course, is getting them to do a great audiobook narration. And again, a big factor is, again, with you as a coach, I know you understand this, is mindset. Mindset is key. And mindset, you're going to get, mindset when you go through the program. It's not just, okay, hit the record button, let's go. No, there is preparation. You don't hit that record button until you are in the right frame of mind before you start. So mindset is important. And I teach that and talk about that throughout the program. Not only do we work one-on-one, we have our weekly, meetings, but there's video lessons that I have for the authors to watch, and downloadable reference guides, and just everything that they need. But again, getting into the right frame of mind is key. That's crucial, because you need to tell your story. You need to be compelling, but you also need to be conversational. And the most important thing, of course, is being authentic. Being your authentic self. Don't try to sound like somebody else. Don't try to act like somebody else. Don't think, oh, I got to be radio DJ guy. You don't. Just be yourself. And again, love that voice that you have, because that's part of your author brand. And that's what makes you so unique.
Very good, Coach. Very good. So do you have a physical thing that you have people do before they start?
I actually, the very first video lesson I have is a mindset lesson. And it's basically getting grounded, being focused, which again, key. I'm glad you brought that up, because focus is a big factor. Getting focused, being in the present moment, getting yourself grounded. I give them this little exercise of mentally preparing themselves. It's not a long. You don't have to spend an hour of meditation. You can do it in 5 or 10 minutes, and just get yourself in the right frame of mind. And I take them through this process of no worrying about the past, no worrying about what's happening in the future, being in the now, in the present. And some of the other techniques I teach them is who you're talking to. And it's not, oh, well, my genre is this, or I'm a weight loss coach and I wrote this book. No, 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 no. Who are you talking to specifically? What person do you have in mind that you are sharing your story to? If you're sitting in a coffee house, who is that person that's sitting across from you and you're telling this great story to? Have that person in mind, because that's going to help you be more conversational, and you're going to be uh, natural and definitely authentic. So it's more than just genre. It's who are you talking to specifically? That's another tool.
That is so brilliant. I think back to when I first started doing video type things, and I had to have whoever was doing the video, I had to look at them because and now it doesn't, I'm so used to it. But at the beginning, I'm like, I have to see your eyes to be able to do this, to be able to talk to you instead of look at a camera because it would make me freeze. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tools and techniques that we go over. One of the great things about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program is that I provide the equipment for the author. So I send them a professional microphone, professional headphones. We go over the program that they use to record their audiobook. So everything is sent to them and it's theirs to keep forever. They don't have to send it back to me. That's part of the program. And, one of my things is, of course, we don't cut corners, never cut corners. So the type of equipment that I send them really is professional. It's not, your cheapy $100 mic. Like I'm sending them the goods, the really good stuff that podcasters use, because again, you don't want to skimp on quality. This is your author brand. You want to do the best of the best. So again, that's part of the program. I provide that for them and show them how to set up their recording space. Again, I'm very methodical in my approach. Even though we're creative people, I'm still very methodical. And again, I probably get that from my dad, because my dad he worked for Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, in Pasadena, California. So he worked on all those unmanned spacecraft, Voyager, Viking, Galileo, all that stuff. So, that's probably where my methodical brain came from.
Well, you need both sides. You need the methodical and you need the creative. And I just think people think that you have to be one or the other all the time, and that's just
That's
nuts.
very
You
true.
need it
That's
all.
very true. So the video lessons that I share, of course, I mean, we do work one-on-one, obviously, but there's video lessons for them to help them with their setup. And it's, again, very step by step. So even if you don't have any experience, it's not a problem to get your own recording space set up. And that's the beauty of having your own recording space, because then you don't have to find a studio to rent and then book studio time. And again, that does create another pressure, and that can be overwhelming. Because let's say you go in and you say, I'm going to record, chapter 3 and chapter 4, and that was your plan. And you go into the studio and maybe it's an off day. Maybe your voice isn't sounding good. Maybe you're just not focused and you're just making a lot of mistakes. It happens. So then your 2 hours or how much time you booked is like, oh, time's up. Need my next client to come in. And then you're like, oh, that's such a bad pressure to put on yourself, because you don't want that weight on your shoulders when you're doing a narration. You want to be relaxed and comfortable when you do your audiobook narration, because you want your delivery to be great, and you don't want to have this nagging thing in the back of your mind going, oh, I'm almost out of time. I'm almost out of time. It's going to affect your delivery. So setting up your own recording space is great, because then now you can record on your time. Now, as your coach, I'm going to hold you accountable to make sure you get the job done. The program is 6 weeks. So, someone's going to have to be your accountability partner. But again, on the other hand, I don't want that to also be a pressure, because life happens. I've had clients, authors who've gone through the program and they're very busy. They go on business trips. There's things that they have to do, and we work around that. So if it does take longer, not a problem. Don't let that be a pressure to getting your audiobook done. Again, life happens and we work around that. So don't feel like, oh no, you're okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it's you not only have a coach, guys. What a coach is somebody who's
Yeah,
on your team, who is cheering you
absolutely.
on, who is doing whatever it takes to get you where you want to go, where you're the one who said, "I want to go here," and the coach is there to help you. So let me ask you this, Robert: why? I think I know the answer, but why only nonfiction?
Nonfiction authors, I usually work with them because with fiction authors, for example, unless they're doing a book like a memoir about or a biography, or maybe they're telling a story where it would just be their voice telling that story. You know, with fiction, you have characters, you have accents, you have dialects, you have all these different aspects that you would probably want to bring to life as a fiction author. So hiring a voiceover artist, you know, a professional who knows how to do that, who can do voices to bring your fiction book to life, you know, that would be the route to go. But with nonfiction authors, this is your story. Nobody can speak your story better than you. No one. You, as the author, are the most qualified to do it. Again, not another narrator, and and definitely not AI, because now you're creating something that's not even a human voice. It's not real. Not AI, not a virtual narrator, not voice cloning. That's not you. Okay. There are still subtleties and nuances of how you speak and how you deliver your message, your story that AI is not going to be able to do. It's just not. It's like, well, it sounds really similar, but you know what? It's not the same. The pacing will be different. Something is not going to jive. And honestly, as a big proponent of not cutting corners, why would you do that to your author brand? You spent so much time and money and effort and energy and blood, sweat, and tears to create this great book. Why would you cheapen your author brand by cheapening your audiobook? You are misrepresenting yourself. Don't do it. Don't do it. It needs to be in your voice. You need to preserve the integrity of your author brand. Remember, you're a brand. You are an entrepreneur. That is your brand. And your products are your ebook, your paperback, your hardcover, and especially your audiobook. So don't cut corners.
I love it. I love it. So you probably have somebody in mind already when I start this question. I'm sure the light bulb will go off. But who has come to you that was like the scaredest and the most determined that there's no way they could do this, and yet somehow they did? And how do they feel about it now?
Well, there's a couple of clients that come to mind. One client that I've worked with, she's like, I have no experience. I don't know, And again, that's where the mindset work comes in, and the coaching really comes into play to show them how to believe in yourself, how to build confidence, how to love your voice, and know that you have what it takes. I mean, I even give them affirmation exercises. Write out 10 affirmations about yourself and about your voice. And, I have a great voice. I am a great narrator. I love my voice. However you want to say it, just write out a list of 10 and print them out and put them on your computer, put them on a refrigerator, put it on the bathroom mirror and read it. But when you read it until you feel it. Don't just read it until you feel it, because once you feel it, then your subconscious then will believe it. Because if you're just rattling it off, that's not changing what you need to change, because you want to crush those false beliefs and replace them with these positive affirmations, which are the truth, because you do have a great voice. So it's that type of thing that I help this author build confidence. Uh, the other author that came to mind was somebody who said, well, I do speaking engagements. This is a piece of cake. And then when she started the process, she's like, oh, wow, I don't know if I can do this. Because it's a different process. It is a whole different mindset. Now, doing speaking engagement does help. There are certain skills that does help you with your delivery, but recording an audiobook, that's a whole different beast. And she realized that. But again, the end result was great. And she was so happy and proud. And that makes me happy as a coach. My reward is when the author listens to their audiobook and they hear themselves and they're like, wow, I never thought I can do that. That's a great feeling. That is a great feeling. And one more thing I wanted to share with you. It's funny that, I have my coaching hat on, I do my thing. They send their audio files to me because, again, having years and years of experience as an audio editor, I do my editing. And then when I do my final output, that's when I get to really listen because I'm in editor mode. So now I get to listen before I do their upload their files for publication. And that's where I really hear, and I tell you, every time I get sucked into their story. And I do this for a living, but I get sucked into their story. And that is just a testament of how good they are. It's not my coaching, it's their delivery, how good the author is in narrating their audiobook. And I purposely don't read ahead. I wait for them to send me the files. They're here's the next chapter. So I get in there and I edit and I listen. And 9 out of 10 times I am just riveted. I'm just like, wow. And then I'll say, hey, where's your next chapter? What happens next? I want to edit the next chapter. I want to know what's going on. But again, that's a testament to how great the author is doing in narration. So if you're a nonfiction author, you have what it takes. Trust yourself. You can do it.
Yeah, I've got several nonfiction authors that I will be sending this podcast to once it goes live because it is such a block. Whenever I talk to them about it, like, is it on audio? Because I am an audiobook freak, an absolute freak, and I'm always asking people, and they're like, "Oh gosh, that'd just be so much work, and that'd be such a big thing." And you're saying, eat the elephant one bite at a time, and we'll get there to the end. I'll guide you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'm glad you mentioned about people going for audiobooks. A lot of people do that first. It's the growing trend. In 2019, revenue of audiobooks surpassed ebooks. And that gap is continuing to widen. Not that people don't buy ebooks, they do. Of course they do. But having an audiobook is great because that puts you out into a whole other world of expanding your author brand to people who maybe don't even know who you are. And the other thing is that people do ask for audiobooks by brand name. It's not just, oh, do you have an audiobook? It's, hey, are you on Audible? Can I grab your book on Apple? Can I grab your book? Are you on Amazon? So they're asking it for brand names. So that's why it's so important to be published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple for sure. I call it the AAA, Audible, Amazon, Apple. You got to be on those.
I love that. And just those kind of things, guys, that he knows that, and you might know that too, but you might not have thought of that, and you could be missing a third of or more if one of them. I think Audible probably carries the bulk of the listening. Is that correct? Or do
Yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
this information?
Audible is pretty much the go-to. You really need to be there. Now, one of the things, like I talk to every author before I sign up anybody into the audiobook coaching program for a couple of reasons. One is, it's person to person. I don't believe in, here's my landing page, scroll, 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 give me your credit card. Very impersonal. I don't like that. I want to talk to every author because I want to tell me about your book. What are your marketing goals? Do you resonate with me and do I resonate with you? If you do, let me get you enrolled. Let's get this done. You know, it's very important because we are going to work together. So it's a relationship. So that's number one. That's really important, which is why I always say book a call. Let's talk first before we enroll you. The second thing is, what are your marketing plans? What's your marketing strategy? Now I'll get them published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple for sure. But some authors are like, I want to be anywhere and everywhere. But is that a good strategy in regards to marketing your author brand? Because sometimes just, like throwing the spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks is not necessarily the smartest thing to do from a business standpoint. So, but if it does work for you, like if you published your book on other distribution platforms and it works for you, then we'll get you published there as well. But for most people, being on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, it hits the markets they want to be in, and it serves them well. So it all depends. But we talk about these things, so that's why it's important to have that conversation.
Sure. I love AANA. It's, it's wonderful. The triple A's. So, is there anything that I have not asked you that I should have, Robert?
Just if you are a nonfiction author, book a call. It's a simple step. Don't be hesitant. Even if you were just thinking about turning your book into an audiobook, let's just talk. Book a call, and you can go to robertlanecoaching.com. There's plenty of book a call buttons there for you to do it. It goes to my calendar, and you will talk with me personally. I don't have like this big team of people that, sometimes that does feel a little impersonal. But you will talk with me directly. And when you are in the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, you work with me directly. I'm your coach, period. That's it. So again, it's developing that relationship. And if you do go to the website, you'll see right there on the homepage, there's an audiobook narration reference guide that you can download. It's a free guide. So click on that link, and it has some tools and techniques, both from the practical aspect and then some of the intangibles of how to bring that energy and that emotion. Some tools and techniques that you can utilize. Obviously, when you're in the program, we're going to really do a deep dive. But it's a free guide. Grab it. And also, if you scroll on that homepage, I have samples of other authors who have narrated their audiobook, who've gone through the program. Just take a listen. They're like 30 seconds, the short little clips, but you can hear how they did their delivery. And honestly, you can feel their emotion. And these are not professional speakers. They're, but they sound great. They just sound fantastic. And you will too.
It sounds like you genuinely do care, and I appreciate that very much. So this last question I ask everybody, nobody knows it's coming, but you came on to think your way to an epic life. What tips can you give our listeners to help them think their ways to an epic life?
Just to have an epic life, be authentic. Be your authentic self. Embrace who you are. Again, I say embrace your author brand. My other catchphrase I tell these authors is, you are an entrepreneur, so you are the CEO of you. The business decisions that you make for yourself, you're the boss, right? The buck stops right here. So make decisions that move your business forward. But to live an epic life, just apply that, not even just for authors, but just for everybody. You are the CEO of you in a sense when it comes to living a great, authentic life. So do things that are positive. Don't berate yourself. Don't belittle yourself. Love yourself and love everything about who you are and what you do. Because just that positive energy, people, they sense that, they tap into that. And that, again, we can't have too much positivity in the world. There's not enough. so just do that.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with us.